Hi friends, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Jay and today I have another cast iron recipe for you. This one is a dessert that's close to my heart because Tom loves it, and anything that Tom loves I enjoy making. This time we're making a brown butter cast iron chocolate chip cookie, a skillet cookie. And I don't know, around Christmas time, if you've ever seen those little tiny cast irons that they sell with the pre-mixed chocolate chip cookie that you can put in it, you can give those as like easy gifts. I always thought those were such a fun idea, but this time we're going to be making it at home from scratch, and I'm going to be teaching you how to use brown butter in a recipe, how to brown butter in the first place and then incorporate it into a recipe. I've actually been wanting to film this for about a week now, but it's just been so nice outside that I haven't been able to sequester myself away into the kitchen. But today is a rainy April day. April showers bring May flowers, and it's the perfect day for me to bake something yummy. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with this. For ingredients, we have, of course, the butter, granulated white sugar, an egg, baking soda, all-purpose flour, vanilla extract, molasses, and of course chocolate chips. You could add pecans, you could do M&Ms, there's whatever you want to put in this, whatever your heart desires. So what we're actually going to do for this recipe is start with the butter. That's your very first step. Now it's easiest if you cut your butter up into smaller pieces, so we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. So I actually only had one stick of butter coming to room temperature, this one here, and I actually needed 3 tablespoons more than this, so I had to get another one out of the freezer. So the butter that's in here now that I've cut into chunks is frozen solid, so I'm actually going to go ahead and get that heating up on the stove and melt it a little bit before I add this butter in, just because I don't want to have cold and room temperature butter that I'm trying to brown at the same time. So let's move over to the stove and I'm gonna start heating up this frozen butter. Okay, so right now I'm just melting this frozen butter. So this is melted enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in the rest of the butter. And I had it cut into chunks, so I'm gonna try and separate it out a little bit here. I have this on medium-low heat. And the really important thing to remember when you're browning butter is that you cannot leave it. You have to stay right here with it the entire time. So right now it has that cloudy yellow color that you're used to seeing from melted butter. That's going to start changing here very shortly. So now you're going to start seeing it bubble. And actually what's happening here is butter is about 15% water, roughly, and that water is going to start evaporating out of this butter. The milk solids are going to separate from the fat, and they're going to drop to the bottom of the pan. Just want to keep kind of giving it a stir every now and then, because you do not want your butter to burn, and that can happen very quickly. So you want to keep kind of moving it around. If the butter doesn't keep moving, that's when it can burn. So you're going to keep doing this until the bubbles stop. Keep stirring. And it's just a very gentle stir. Can you tell that it's starting to get quieter? It's not such an aggressive boiling sound anymore. That's because the water is just about all evaporated out of here, and that's what you were hearing, was the water evaporating. And this is starting to get very murky. Now you especially want to keep stirring because you do not want this to burn. We want a lovely brown flavor. We do not want a burnt flavor. You can also use your sense of smell to determine how this is going. Right now it has a very nutty aroma, but if it starts to turn and smell bitter or burnt, then you need to stop. But you're looking for an amber color. Obviously that would be easier to see if you were doing this in like a stainless steel pot or something, but because we're baking this cookie in the skillet, I'm doing this in the skillet. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off here because I like how it smells and I don't want to push my luck. Okay, while the butter is still warm and right off the stove, we're gonna go ahead and add in our sugar. We have 1 cup of white sugar, 1 tablespoon of molasses, and then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And I'm just using up the vanilla extract that I had while I wait for my homemade vanilla extract to infuse. I can't wait to start baking with that. And this is still sizzling away because my cast iron skillet is still very warm. So we're just gonna get this all mixed together. Oh, you guys, the smell is just incredible. Oh my gosh. Yeah, today I'm glad I waited to do this. I normally film on Tuesdays and it's Thursday, but I wasn't feeling it, you know, and today is the perfect day for a delicious baked good. And I have this window cracked a little bit, so I have that wet spring breeze coming in while I'm doing this. You know, you only have one life, and I do go out of my way to try and create these joyful situations for myself. And something like this is just exactly what my heart needs today, you know? All right, so now we're gonna let this sit and kind of cool for about 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be completely cool, just kind of cool off a little so it's not bubbling away. Okay, you guys, we've let this rest about 5 minutes and it has decreased in temperature. It's still warm, but it's not bubbling like it was. The reason you need to let it cool off a little bit is because the next thing we're going to add is the egg, and you do not want to cook the egg. So if it's too hot, the egg will start to like scramble or whatever, and you don't want that. So we're gonna add in just 1 egg. Okay, I've got that nice and whisked together. Look at that, is just, oh, yum. Ooh, I made a little bit of a mess here. Actually, this is a good learning opportunity. I spilled a little bit, but let me show you something. Do you see all the little dark flecks that are in this? That's the browned butter. Those are the milk solids that fell to the bottom of the pan when we were browning it, and they browned, and now they have a really yummy, caramely, nutty flavor to them. This worked out. I didn't mean to make a mess, but it let me show you because it's hard to see in the skillet because it's dark. But there you go. That's the browned butter. I suck at telling you guys to do this, but preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Okay, next we want to add in the flour. We've got 1 3/4 cup of that. You don't want to take too long to complete this because if this cools completely, it's going to be difficult to work with. It's actually taking me too long to get through it, so I'm going to start picking up the pace here. One thing I really, really like about this recipe is that you make the whole thing just in your skillet. And so I have no dishes, like I just have the skillet and then I'll rinse out the measuring cups. But it's not like I have a bowl to mix the dry ingredients, a bowl to mix the wet ingredients, you know, stuff like that. The pan that I'm cooking it in, just this one. And that's awesome, I really like that. I'm gonna switch to the spoon because the whisk is kind of hard to manage here. And then you wanna add in 1/2 teaspoon of the baking soda and 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but I'm really bad about measuring that. I just kind of put in some salt. The fact that we did not mix the dry ingredients together separately means that you really have to mix this up well because you want the baking soda to be incorporated throughout, you want the salt to be incorporated throughout, so you want to really make sure that this is well combined. All right, and the very last thing that you're adding to this are the chocolate chips. Now, I use the mini chocolate chips anytime I make anything that requires chocolate chips because I'm actually not a big chocolate fan. The fact that some people can just put a Hershey Kiss straight in their mouth freaks me out. I do not like chocolate, so I have an easier time eating things like this when the chocolate chips are small, because this I could manage. One of those big, huge honkin' chocolate chips that people normally bake with, if I get more than one of those in my mouth at a time, I'm not having fun. So Tom doesn't mind it. I mean, chocolate's chocolate to him, so I always use the minis just because I have a better time with it. And I'm just kind of trying to incorporate these chocolate chips throughout. And once you feel like they're pretty incorporated, now mind you, you need to kind of move quick here once the chocolate's in, because it'll start to melt because your pan is still pretty warm. So I've got them incorporated, and now I'm just going to kind of press this into the pan. Oh yeah, this chocolate's getting really melted. Okay, one last thing. This is ready. This is ready to go into your preheated 350-degree oven. However, I'm gonna have to take some pictures of this. So I'm gonna take a damp paper towel and clean up around the edges, because I got really messy with it while I was stirring everything together. But I'm just gonna clean this up really quick. Okay, this is ready to go in the oven. So I'm gonna let that hang out in the oven for I'll probably check it at 16 minutes, just because my oven bakes things quicker than normal. But I would maybe check it anywhere from 16 to 20 minutes. Okay, so this is all done. I took it out at the 16-minute mark because it's pretty decently well done, but it is still a little soft in the middle. And Tom and I, like many others, like our chocolate chip cookies to still be a little bit gooey. So I went ahead and took it out at the 16-minute mark. There was something that I wanted to mention to you, and that is that when you are browning butter for a recipe, you can use browned butter in just about any baking recipe, at least that I can think of off the top of my head. You could substitute it even if it doesn't call for brown butter, and you can add that extra flavor depth to whatever baking recipe you're doing. However, keep in mind that you are evaporating off all of the water, as I mentioned when I was showing you how to do it, and you're overall decreasing the amount of butter that you're going to have in your recipe. I guess not the amount of butter, but the amount of liquid that you'll have in the recipe. So you could add, if it calls for like water or milk or heavy cream, you could just add a little bit more to make up for that. What I like to do is just add another tablespoon of butter. So the recipe originally called for 10 tablespoons. I just did 11, and that usually gives you that extra little bit to still keep the measurements accurate for the recipe. So I just wanted to mention that to you so that you knew. So yeah, let's go ahead and try this and see how it turned out. Got a plate here. So I'm going to cut this like a pizza, like with wedges. And because we did all the stove stuff and mixed everything, I wasn't able to, make it any more non-stick than it already just is as a cast iron skillet. So let's hope that my seasoning skills come through for us here and that this doesn't stick. Oh, I tried to let it cool before I did this, but I clearly did not let it cool enough. But it's not sticking, it's just still too warm to be doing this, but that's okay. All right, you guys, it is definitely cookie mush, because I took it out earlier than I probably should have, but that we're gonna really enjoy it like this, so I'm okay with it. It's crazy to me how prominent the brown butter flavor is in this. It makes all the difference. The flavor complexity of this would be not even close if we had not used brown butter in this. Wow. It takes it to a whole nother place. I have goosebumps. What's better than a warm chocolate chip cookie? I know the answer to that. Hold please. A warm chocolate chip cookie with vanilla bean ice cream. That's what's better. All right. Now I've got to try it with the ice cream. The flavors are just incredible. I can't get over it. Okay, wow. I don't think I'll ever be able to go back to making chocolate chip cookies without brown butter. I wish Tom were home to try this with me. Straight out of the oven like this. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with me while we gave this a shot. Cast iron skillet chocolate chip cookie on its own is an incredible recipe that I've made many, many times. Tom loves it, it's delicious. But adding in the browned butter like that took it to a completely different level. I'm actually astounded at the difference. The brown butter adds a depth of flavor that is just unparalleled. It's incredible. So you could always use the 10 tablespoons of butter and just have them be melted in there. You don't have to brown them the way that I did, but I really hope that you give that a try for two reasons. One, you get this incredible array of flavors that I have in front of me here, and two, it expands your knowledge in the kitchen. Knowing how to brown butter properly and use it in a recipe just takes you one step further into being able to bake, you know, a wide range of things and be able to incorporate different tricks and skills in the kitchen that lends you confidence and overall skill. So, you know, I hope that you give it a shot. Just, you know, make sure that when you are doing it, you're standing right there. Do not leave it, because then it's gonna burn and you're gonna have to throw it out. You can't really use it. So make sure that when you're browning butter, you stand right there. But otherwise, just do what I did and you will end up with a delicious brown butter cast iron skillet chocolate chip cookie. So thank you so much for hanging out with me on this dreary spring day. And I can't wait to see you next time. Oh, also, if you like this video, please give it a like, maybe drop a comment, and subscribe to see more stuff like this in the future. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.